This video is going to include the triangle inequality theorem. And the theorem goes like this. In any triangle, the sum of any two sides must be greater than the third side. In any triangle, the sum of any two sides must be greater than the third side. So if we look at the example of a 2, 4, 5, could these be the sides of a triangle? Well, if I take 2 plus 4, that is greater than 5. So you could draw a triangle with the sides 2, 4, and 5. Another example would be 3, 3, 6. In this example, 3 plus 3 equals 6. So it is not greater. If I were to try to draw this, if this side was 6 and I had a side that was 3 and another side that was 3, it would just make a triangle or a line. So that does not make a triangle. Another example, 5, 2, 1. I'm going to look at the two smallest sides, 1 plus 2. That is not greater than 5. If I were to try to draw that, it would not make a triangle. So again, the sum of two sides of any triangle has to be greater than the third. We can extend this and ask the question, determine the possible values of side x. So in this triangle, if I have the sides 6, 12, and x, I know that 6 plus 12 has to be greater than x. So 18 has to be greater than x. In other words, x has to be less than 18. But I also know that 6 plus x has to be greater than 12, or x has to be greater than 6. And looking at this set, I know that 12 plus x has to be greater than 6. 12 plus x has to be greater than 6. So x has to be greater than negative 6. Now, if x has to be greater than 6 and it has to be greater than negative 6, then together I know x has to be greater than 6. To write my final answer, x has to be less than 18 but greater than 6. Or I can read it, x is between 6 and 18. One more example of this. If my sides were 4, 7, and x, I know that 4 plus 7 has to be bigger than x. The sum of two sides has to be bigger than the third. So 11 is bigger than x. Or if you prefer, x has to be less than 11. Looking at the other possibilities, I know that 4 plus x has to be bigger than 7, which means x has to be bigger than 3. And I know that 7 plus x has to be bigger than 4, so x has to be bigger than negative 3. If x has to be bigger than 3 and bigger than negative 3, then x has to be bigger than 3. Put my answer together. X has to be bigger than 3 but less than 11. Or x is between 3 and 11.